Hi chess friends, this is King's Executor covering round 11 of the Tata Steel tournament 2013 in Weichensee. And now we have Magnus Carlsen leading with 8.5 points, having drawn this round, and Aronian won this round. He's got 7.5 points, being number 2 currently, and that means we have still two rounds left, and if Aronian wins twice and Magnus draws twice, well, then we have 2 first places, I guess. So the iron is still hot, but today's game of the day is Sergey Karjakin with the white pieces against Ivan Sokolov. And the Spanish opening seems to be the opening of this tournament altogether. And after b5, bishop b3, we have a rather modest d3 by white here, and an active bishop c5 by Sokolov. Knight c3, d6. Well, in this position, well, the better player is going to win. At some point, this bishop might drop back, as well as this knight, to this or to this square. Afterwards, this pawn is going to be pushed so that you have space on the queen side, and after a3, well, if knight a5 is played, the bishop can be preserved. h6 is played to keep pieces out of g5. Bishop e3 now, and if black takes, white recaptures with a pawn covering these dark squares, replacing the dark squared bishop in a way, opening up the rook file to attack, hopefully. After castles, bishop a2, so black doesn't play knight a5 with tempo. Rook b8 and knight e2. So the Spanish game, for mostly this closed type of positions in the Spanish game, are really games of piece maneuvering, and the plan is to place the pieces on the most active squares to pressurize the opponent with micro improvements, move by move. Each side is trying to do that the most effective way. Bishop c8, because black sees that knight g3 and knight h5 could be the follow-up in white's plan to focus on the f5 square, and this bishop wants to cover that. This rook also now has the possibility to come into the game via this pawn push with a5 or without, according to circumstances. So the f5 square is one of the main points white is looking for, and black has to look for it as well, so that he doesn't get crushed on the king side. Knight g3 and bishop b6. Well, no pawn pushes yet, probably. c3, cutting b4 out of the question, and having the option to press in the center slowly. rook e8, and well, in this position d4 was played by Karjakin. Karjakin is really one of the strongest top grandmasters today, and if you look at this position with your engines, probably d4 seems not to be the strongest choice, but really there's not much to do here. If you try, for example, to exchange bishops, knight h4 to get on with the plan, now you see there are problems. g6 is not possible to keep white out of f5 because of knight takes. So d5 could be the answer. Takes, takes, queen h5. This looks dangerous, but bishop e6, takes, takes, knight e4, bishop takes, pawn takes, and the accurate queen g5 solves black's problems, if there have been some in the first place. So this position is equal. Well, this the engines just don't assess these moves I've shown you that way that they are going to result, but the better assessment of a move like bishop b6 here is based on the point that white gets pressure and black can go wrong. But this simplifies the position, and Karjakin, being a strong grandmaster, tries different practical approaches here with d4. Bishop g4, pinning the knight to the queen. And how to solve this problem here? There's much pressure on d4 now, and h3 would be bad. Takes, and if you don't want to loosen up your king's side, especially having played h3, if you play queen takes here, takes, takes, and that simply loses a pawn here, and there's pressure on this pawn as well. So Karjakin played a provoking move, and black is allowed to double white's pawns here. Well, the pawns here in the center are solid now, at least from where I'm looking. The king side might look weakened, but black's light squared bishop is missing, so I think that decreases black's attacking chances. Rather, white is going to be the one who's pressurizing the king with rook to g1 here. So this is not necessarily a weakness, but rather aggressive playing, a helper for aggressive playing here. Knight e7, king h1, queen d7, and f4. Now you can see that this pawn is under pressure, especially after the knight moved. And just look how this bishop is doing a fine job pressurizing the pawn here. Queen h3, threatening knight to g5, which then would threaten mate. So f3 to cover the g5 square. f4 was taken and recaptured, and knight g6, putting a question to the bishop, which dropped back here, and c5. Well, such moves give counterplay because these pieces come into the game here. If the center is opening up, this rook is already nicely placed. Rook f2, knight h5, and rook g1. c4, trying to let this bishop look stupid. Queen d2 and bishop d8. Well, black is trying to get all the pieces on the king side. Knight h5, queen h5, and bishop b1 to redeploy the bishop here. Well, you often heard, if you listen to people who understand chess principles, that this constellation here is pressure, and resolving such pressure with moves like c4 are mostly not a good thing to do, and in this game we can maybe see why. Of course, these dark squares seem available now after d5, that would block this pawn and make this bishop worse than this bishop. Otherwise, having this pawn chain, well, the bishop on a2 would look stupid as well. Well, let's forget about these pieces here for a moment and think about moves such as b3, playing against the c4 pawn, and afterwards maybe a4 if the queen beforehand is played to c2. So that could be a plan to disrupt these pawns. On the other hand, these pawns seem to be rather static for now, and of course the predominant theme is the pieces and the pressure here, but this could be a theme later on in the game. So the knight was taken and bishop b1, bishop h4. Well, this position is already a little bit funny. You see, white's central pawns are rather mobile. White's got the bishop pair. White's got an open file to work with, pressure on the king side, and these pieces look rather dormant. So this gives white an advantage here. Bishop h4 and not rook fg2, that would allow queen takes. So we see rook f1, and now d5. This is again a move, a pawn move, which now is telling. I don't understand why this move is played here, but it's bad anyway. Well, if black is afraid of any e5 immediately, this rook move could make sense, but again, white has pawns here to push. d5 was played, and now there are many moves for white. White can play f4, White can play queen g2, and taking on here would just open up, or letting this bishop come into the game. e5 was played, and now you see these pawns don't have a job. They look silly, and this bishop came back into the game. Rook b6, trying to defend. f4. From now on the game flows. f5, trying to stop the pawn march. And queen g2 was played. And this move doesn't only increase the pressure here, but it rather controls light squares here around the king, which is important, which you will see soon. And now you see this pawn here is attacked. So rook d8. And can you spot the move, which is really, really strong? And I think if you see that move and its idea, it's clear why White is way ahead and winning this position. Please stop the video and try to find the move if you want to. The winning move in this position, which was played by Karjakin, is bishop c2. Well, what is this move about? Can you guess it? And no, it's not some funny ideas with rook a1 and a4 or something. It's a completely different thing here. Well, the bishop is just threatening to go to d1. The queen has no retreat squares here. The knight cannot move out of the way to make this queen being able to flee somewhere, because mate is threatened. And if bishop e7, bishop d1, queen h4, now the strongest move is rook f3, threatening not to get to h3 actually, but now to g3. Sorry. So this bishop move gained time to activate this rook. And if bishop f8 to give the queen a fleeing square, rook g3. And well, black cannot defend. This piece is falling afterwards. The king has many problems. White has a passed pawn here. This pawn easily gets under pressure soon, and this is simply winning. So in this position, after bishop c2, Ivan Sokolov resigned to Sergey Karjakin. I hope you enjoyed the game. Please subscribe, comment and like the video if you did, and I'll be back next round.